with them and say this with me. It's not about who you shall become, but it's who you are. It's who you are. Now, let me tell you a quick story. There was a woman that was very sick. She was in a coma for over 2 or 3 months. Okay? And during that time in the coma, the Lord sent an angel to visit her and brought her to the throne. Right? And he told her, he said, "You are my daughter, and I'm your father." And it says that you will live an additional 46 years, 11 months, and 15 days. So, after she goes back to herself, she begins to wake up out of the coma. And she's so excited about what the Father told her that she had 46 years, 11 months, and 15 days left on her life. But she said, "You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and make a whole bunch of changes about myself so that I can have a better life." So she told the doctor, she said, "You know what? I want to get some breast implants. I want to get some booty implants. I want to get my skin checked out. I want to get some hair implants. And I want to do all these different things to enhance myself because I know I got all this top left. So I'm going to enhance myself and make myself better than I already is." So she has all these different surgeries, all these different plastic surgeries done to her. And she's ready. So after she heals and recovers through all these different procedures, she's getting ready to go out of the hospital. So the nurses push her down, and she goes down there to the entrance. She gets up, she's getting ready to call her a cab, and she's getting ready to go home and start this great life. Then a bus pulls up, and it's blocked right there in front of the hospital. So she can't see the traffic that's coming down the road. Excuse me. So as she's walking to her cab, she don't see that there's a car coming. And she walks out, and the car hits her, and she dies instantly. But because she was in Christ, she went straight to the pearly gates, and she heard the voice of the Lord say, "Well done, thou good and thou faithful servant." And so when the angel took her to the Father, she asked her, "Well, Father, you told me that I had 46 years, 11 months, and 15 days left to live. Why did I die so fast?" And the Father turned to his left, and there was an angel beside with his head down. And the angel looked at him and said, "I'm sorry, but I didn't recognize you. I didn't recognize you. You made so many changes about yourself. I didn't even recognize you." Now, if you want to know who that woman is that I'm talking about on your own time, not right now, go look at Revelations 12. Read that chapter and study it next week, and you'll be in a position to understand fully about what I mean by that parable that I just gave you. But let me just give a brief explanation. That woman is the so-called black people. Right? We were so-called free in 1865, which we know was a lie. Because nobody's free is going through what we did. Tulsa, Oklahoma, bombed by our own government. Wilmington, bombed. People running up out of there. Lynched all over the country. Hanged. Discriminated against. Killed. Land taken. So we know this is all a lie. There's no way we could be free and still going through the same things that we did off the field. Right? So, because of that, our people begin to do what they call assimilation. Assimilation means that you begin to take on a new identity to fit in with who they call the majority. Right? So many of our people begin to try to go and learn the English language, which is okay. You got to be able to be productive in this country, so you need to be able to speak the language. But we tried to go away from everything that our ancestors taught us. Many of our people begin to dye and change their hair colors. Many of our people who were descendants of children that were produced by rapes of white men that came out looking light skinned, began to try to move in to being seen as white, and they began to discriminate against the darker skins. Some of them used to fry their hair and make so their hair wouldn't be curly like this and made it straight. Our sisters began to put extensions in their hairs. We was fighting and dying for the right to go into their schools and get their education. We was fighting for the rights to live in their neighborhoods, fighting for the rights to have these. And we worked so hard to become somebody else that we moved completely away from who God made us to be. And you hear many of our people talk today that said one of the worst things that happened to our people was desegregation. Because once the schools were integrated, many of our people moved fully past everything that they were taught. They were taught about their history. They were taught about their ancestors. They were taught things that were going to make them productive citizens. And when they moved into the regular schools, that's when they began to learn lies. That's when they began to learn that Christopher Columbus was a great man. That's when they began to learn that the so-called Indians, the so-called Native Americans were savages and they deserved to get their lands taken. It was manifest destiny. They began to be taught and believed that Serge Bourgeois was the only way. Notice I'm not calling him Jesus. Serge Bourgeois was the only way to be included. Many of the preachers and pastors began to go to their theological schools and come back to their congregations and teach a bunch of nonsense that never had to do anything with this. And so we remained into mental and spiritual bondage, even though we had a natural so-called freedom. We are that woman that took on all these other enhancements to try to make ourselves. And now when the Most High looks down on us, because we don't got the blood of the Lamb on us, He don't even know who we are. Okay? So we're going to try to discuss this real quickly. Let's look in Genesis 1. Let's look at what the Most High says about who we are and how we were made. Look at Genesis 1, verses 26 and 28. Let's get a read for that.
26 says, And God said, Let us make man in our image, and after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Mm-hmm. So God created man in His own image, and in the image of God created him, male and female, created He them.
Okay, now let's see here. Let's see some very key things that we need to take out of this. Number one, He made a decision to let us make man. You didn't come from no monkey. You didn't arrive from no ape, no Neanderthal, or any of that. The evolution theory is a lie. Really, if you really break down the whole idea of the evolution theory, it's really sad when you think about it. Because what they want you to believe is that it went from apes to Neanderthals to black, and it evolved into white. And we're just one step over a monkey. But I'm going to ask, just like my man Cat Williams always say, if we came from monkeys, why are there other monkeys? Were they with the bad guys and they wasn't allowed, you know what I'm saying, to make it into man? That's a lie. You were made in the image of the Most High. Look at what He said in verse 27. In His own image of God, He created him male and female. So men, let me ask you a question out there today. My brothers, why are you treating your women as the way that you do? That were made in the image of God. And when you go over into Genesis, the 2nd chapter, the Bible tells us that the Father said that it was not meant for man to be alone. And we lost a rib in order for one man to be made. Why are you treating your women the way that you do? They're not thoughts. They're not breasts and booties. They're daughters of the Most High. So I don't want to see this black history, black power junk going on, and then you're treating women like they're nothing. If you want to get back to your heritage, you need to get back to treating women like they're queens. And get away from this nonsense that these rappers and these people out here telling you you're supposed to act. That is not our heritage. That is not how we treat our women. We need to get off of that. All right? Now read verse 28.
And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it.
All right, stop right there. He said, and he blessed him.